Welcome to Truth Talkin Thursday. This is Jim. I'm Jane. Last week we talked a little bit about, Jim brought up a great point about expectations and how we really can't have any expectations outside of ourselves, if you will. And those expectations that we have of ourselves should be very moderate. And when I thought about that this week, I kind of applied it a little bit to the golden rule. And I realized that my own perspective on the golden rule was slightly askew. I had in my mind, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, was saying, if I treat others in this specific way, I can expect that they will treat me in the same way. That's not what the golden rule says. The golden rule is based on love, and love has no expectations. It just is. And that made a lot of sense to me after I took those 7 days to process. Anyway, so Jim and I were just chatting a little bit here before we pressed record, and we were talking about expectations for our teachers. And that's something that has been kind of front and center in my mind for a while. And it's something that's very close to Jim as well, with a program that he's designing that kind of is an overhaul on the education system that we have. And we can discuss that another time as well. The fact that it's an overhaul of the education system is exciting, and I'm looking forward to it in anticipation. But Jim and I were talking right now about our expectations for teachers, and what really has stuck out to me is how we expect that the teachers to have this lovely little degree of control and the ability to teach, and yet we as parents take that away from them. What would you feel like your take on that is?
For me, there's a lot of there's control issues here. There's entitlement issues here. There's all kinds of things here. Nobody's going to discipline. Nobody's going to tell my kid how to behave. Nobody's not. And yet a lot of parents out there have abdicated their responsibility as parents, and they don't do that. They don't create boundaries for their kids, and their kids go to school and expect that the world is going to kind of follow them around. And when teachers step out, that's not your job to discipline my child. That's my job. Well, then do your freaking job.
Exactly.
But you're not doing your job. A lot of parents out there, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to alienate a lot of parents out there, but they don't do the job.
Well, we send our...
They think they're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them that. I'll give parents that. I mean, no parent's going to get up in the morning and say, well, how can I mess my kid up today?
Oh,
no parent's going to do that, and I'm not suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is a lot of parents really don't understand the responsibilities of being a parent and what that means and what that's all about.
Well, I read this quote, and I think I just read it to you earlier before we started recording this. Our society seems to be focused on rights and forgetting the responsibility aspect of it. And you just kind of touched on that, Jim, and that's what made me think of that. We are totally removing the teacher's right to teach and our expectations of them to do so, to teach, because we as parents aren't taking our responsibility. We have the expectation that our child will get taught, but we're telling the teacher, nah, they're too young for homework. They don't deserve this. They don't deserve that. My kid got hit with a snowball and had ice in it, so the children shouldn't be able to make snowballs anymore. And all of the things that make a kid are being ripped out from under them, and the issues of substance aren't being taught. And so the kid is getting bored, the kid doesn't want to learn, the kid doesn't want to go to school. And as parents, we don't have the time to spend with them at home when they get in these moods. We need them to go to school. So we blame the teachers.
Schools have become an extension of home, in my mind. They have, like you say, they have had the responsibility taken away from them. They have become babysitters in a lot of cases. They're expected to teach, but not given the freedom to teach. And so the kids don't. The kids are pretty confused around all of that. By the way, the kids that I talked to, and I talked to a whole whack of them when we were doing the research on the program that we've developed, and that's been 2 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing real well in terms of educating our kids. So the teachers have taken a hit here.
Well, the same sense of disrespect and entitlement that we find as parents frustrating at home, we're also passing that along to the teachers. The teachers are experiencing this as well, except they're not allowed to do anything about it, and we are choosing not to do anything about it. So what's going to happen to our children?
Teachers have really had one arm tied behind their back, and the majority of teachers, not all, but the majority of teachers out there would tell you in private. They certainly aren't going to come right out and say it because jobs are on the line here and all that kind of stuff, and careers and sort of. But they would come right out. They would say that they're frustrated because they can't do what they've been trained to do, and that's teach. They've become babysitters for a class of 20 kids or 22 kids or however many. I wrote a book a few years back called A Man's Work Is Never Done. Did we realize, and the teachers realize, do we realize as parents and as citizens out there that just recently 3 out of the last 4 mass shootings were done by fatherless sons? What are we doing wrong that our kids have to go to school and be taught how to save their own lives in a locked room?
Well, yeah.
My goodness
gracious! That's the biggest picture.
What the heck is that all about?
Yeah.
When you start thinking about
something's wrong with that.
Something is horribly wrong with that.
The real question is, what are we going to do about it? I feel like that's what it comes down to, and the real problems that we end up having are the ones that we don't talk about, the ones we sweep under the carpet, the ones that we decide we're going to give teachers guns in order to prevent this happening in the future. That's ridiculous. There needs to be a solution.
There's a program that my colleague and mine and I have worked hard on developing, and we have some answers to that problem, and we have answers that will work. They have in other places. To some degree, we've expanded them. There are things that we can do. There are ways of going about doing it. What we lack is a political will to do them. One of the things that you want to do with an election coming up, and I might have mentioned this before, is get off your butt and go out to town hall meetings where the candidates are telling you what wonderful things they're going to do. Don't be shy. Get up and ask the candidate of your choice, what are your thoughts on the current educational system, and what are your plans to change it for the better? That's what you need to do as citizens here. That's one of the basic things that we can begin to do as a citizenry, to start the movement, the motion forward, to actually sit down and take a look at the educational system and say, man, are we in trouble with this or what? Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. What do we need to start to do to fix it? Because it can be fixed.
Change needs to happen.
It does.
And
big time.
Change always starts with us. We have that choice. And it is super important to be aware of what is going on around us and the stand that we wish to take on that.
Yes, and do you know who the big drivers of change are in this situation?
In the education system.
Who are the big drivers for change? Mm-hmm. The kids, the people that actually use the system. Mm-hmm. Teachers don't use the system. Parents don't use. Mm-hmm. The kids are the ones that drive change because they're the only users of the system. And if we listen to them, they'll tell us what needs to happen. All we got to do is put the political will together to make it happen. That's it.
Which will make huge changes for our teachers as well.
Absolutely. They can get back to teaching instead of babysitting.
And that's what we need.
And running for their lives.
And that's what we need. That is where true change lies.
Absolutely.
So have a great week, everybody.
And thanks for listening, and thanks for stopping by.